Okay, Thursday, April 27th, 2023. I'm just on my way to the gym. It's gotten really cold again. Oh, it's cold. That's all I can say. It's like 3 centigrade, so this is like 35, maybe 40 Fahrenheits. I've actually, it's strange. I've been living abroad now for 10 years. Just over 10 years, I moved out of Delaware and came to Norway, and then a couple of years ago to Ukraine. And I'm used to this whole Celsius system. But just want to show you something interesting here. You see this Canadian and Ukrainian flag. It's like that's the Canadian embassy. Haha, little joke in the morning. But yeah, so anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. You always see something interesting here in Ukraine. Now, there are a lot of Ukrainians or Canadians with Ukrainian ancestry. It's like a go-to place. Even my father went to Canada for a short time before he went to America. It's like a waiting room for America or something when people are trying to get to the US. And I think most of the companies in Canada are American, so you join up with a US company and then they hope that they transfer you, and then you do your time and get your visa and and then become a citizen. I think that's usually, although Canada is not that bad except for the weather. The weather is really I think people always talk about Canada being this place to go, but you got to really take that weather into account. You get a lot of snow. You're going to shovel a lot of snow there. They're definitely, I don't think they're benefiting from global warming at all or climate change. But it's a nice place. I've been in a few of the cities like Windsor and I think Vancouver. Where else? Toronto a long time ago. Yeah, so most of that stuff is actually close to the US. But anyway, yeah, here you can see they're getting the building projects are getting done, as we're talking about. So yeah, there's been a lot of news that China now wants to broker a deal with Ukraine, but I don't know, it's going to take a very long time. And if the Ukrainians are going to go for Crimea this spring, it's already out in the news and everyone knows about it and there's leaks. And it's like a very important thing for the Russians, so I could just see it being like another Bakhmut. It's not going to be like a clean sweep unless they get some, not only weapons, but, a lot of well-trained soldiers. They're going to be using conscripts and everything. I don't mean to sound pessimistic. I'm just kind of a realist. The Russians are faltering. And I guess if they can, and then you have this nuclear factor where the Russians could threaten nukes. And, I don't know how long China can hold them back. So that's just my honest view, is like, this is going to be a very long war. This is just a new way of life. There's wars that go on and on and on, like Afghanistan went on and on and on, Iraq. In the Middle East, things are still going on and on and on. Korean War is like simmered down and everything is frozen for 70 years. So, I don't know. I just, it's like I was telling my neighbor this, and he agreed. He's Ukrainian. This doesn't end until Putin dies and there's a real big change of regime in Russia. They will keep coming and coming, and it doesn't seem like I say, until people in the, not even in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but certain districts of Moscow and St. Petersburg have to feel this. They have to feel the bite before it really starts having something happen. And I was watching some documentaries last night, like, there's always workarounds on these sanctions, through Turkey, through third countries. They just ship the container there full of PlayStations or electronics or whatever, and then they go on, they just put them on another ship and it goes to Russia, so, as long as money is involved, people's ideology really, takes a back seat when money is involved. Here's a building materials place. This is going to be this is already a booming sector. There's a quiet building boom here in Lviv because everybody is moving here. This is becoming like the new center of Ukraine, and I think it will. It's just, they don't have any good public transit here though. The city is like a swamp, so they couldn't build a metro here. There's only a major city in Ukraine where they couldn't build a metro because of the ground conditions. It's like I think all wet sand under here or something. So I don't know. It's there is kind of a silent boom. I mean, this building here is new. It was paused and then it resumed, and now there's some. Looks like they have some shop space here too. We were thinking what kind of business would be the best business to open here. We were thinking like secondhand stores, where people are, people here love their clothes and then they get tired of them, and then, it's kind of like Plato's Closet in America. You just take all your brand clothes and you get a little bit of money for it. It's like a pawn shop business, and then the shop cleans it up, presses it, puts it on the shelf, and then, 4 or 5x's the price, or even 3x's the price or something. And and then resells it, So that could be a thing, but it's this cold weather really takes the wind out of the sails, So about my Python courses, I want to talk about that too. So I'm through the third unit, using Python to extract data, Python to, pull information from a website, and parse the data. That's what it seems like it is, and the chat GPT really helps to work on these nuances and fine points, to write a regular expression or write a statement. So you tell what you want, and then you drop in a sample of the data, and it actually writes the code for you amazingly well. And one time it was off by 1 row, and I just said, I dropped in the sample data, and I said it should be pulling Frank's name, not Jimmy's name. Out of a list, there was like a list of 5 things, and you wanted to get the 4th thing, and it returned the code with like a -1, with that field -1. And it's like, wow, this, because I think what's going to happen, I mean, of course, like the architecture and design still will probably have to be done by a human, but to actually make the shoes, you can get a lot of it written by the GPT. And I'm finding, GPT does make mistakes, like when I have it write stuff, and, it's 80-90%, but that's a big boost. That's a big boost in productivity, right? Write a few sentences and I ask it to fill it up, write a passage, a couple hundred words. You do have to go through and do some fine editing, but it's not like sitting there having to do the whole thing yourself. So it's not completely autonomous. I think you always have to put a human touch on it, so. But yeah, it's I think what GPT is going to do is routine programming, like in a bank where you are like parsing files, and it's gonna be a productivity boom there for sure. I remember when I was working in BlackRock long ago, we were messing with files, commas and periods, and the guys who were really smart could write a Perl script to do it, and others would do it in a spreadsheet, and then you'd still have a few people try to do it by hand, like in the database, edit actually in the database, type of thing. So I think it'll like, you'll have like a business analyst plus, like someone who's, like soft programming skills. I think there'll be a lot of advancement here. I think it'll be cool. I mean, that's, I think, what most of the work is, with programming, or at least what I see in BlackRock, is like taking files and, manipulating the files into a different format and getting them into a database, putting them, so. Yeah, what I want to do for my project, I'm supposed to do a class project or something, is they taught us how to get Twitter feeds. I want to check the engagement on Twitter. Like if someone has 200,000 followers, come up with a scoring system to see what their engagement is. So they get like 1 point for a like, 2 points for a retweet, and 3 points for a comment. And then you have that score, like, or an average, right? So you look at all their tweets over the past month, and then you get the average of this, this composite score, and then you divide that by the total number of followers, and that'll give you like an engagement index. So that's what I'm looking to build, because, this is like really tough. Like, which social media followers do you want to pay? Which ones are really having those followers? You see that movie Fake Famous, and you see how it is pretty easy to hire people, on Fiverr and get you a boatload of followers, but are they actually useful? I mean, other than, having some, popularity score. I mean, can it actually be monetized? Engagement is what the indication what monetizes. That's like telling you who's actually looking at your posts and following you, like actively following you, not just has you saved, or it's a bot, or something like that. So, yeah, that's getting the knowledge there. I learned how to pull the Python, URL, and how to do the keys and everything, and so, yeah, hopefully we'll get there a few weeks more. I'll be able to actually pull this project off. But anyway, I'm at the gym, so we'll see you. Bye.